Good morning, class. Everyone should start on their do now. You're going to answer these two questions. It says, draw or write an example of what an exponent number looks like. And number 2 says, describe to me what the graph of x squared looks like using a real-world example. You'll have 2 minutes to complete both of these questions. For the second question, you can use your calculator and enter it in, and just give me something in your everyday life that reminds you of it. For my do now, whenever students walk in, I'm going to have the materials listed so that this is like before class gets started, so 2 minutes into class time, but they could have done it previously before class time. And they'll have out their materials, which is like pencil, calculator, worksheet, and the worksheet's going to have their notes and assignments on it, and the board has today's date. So I feel like that will minimize errors. So then now I'm going to act like there's a kid asking a question. Okay, time's up. Pencils down. Jonah, what did you put for question 1? He's going to say, I drew an X with a little 2 above it because yesterday we wrote that in our notes. Awesome job, Jonah. I liked how you used complete sentences and identified your creation. All right, number 2, I want to hear from Raphael. Raphael is going to be like an ELL kid that I saw kind of struggling, but I helped him use sentence stems to find his answer. Raphael, what did you use for your real-world example? Raphael says, on my house, I have a metal dish, and it looks like an x squared graph. Me. A satellite dish is a great example of what a parabola looks like for an x squared graph. Thank you, Raphael. Instead of like directly correcting him in front of class, I just kind of say what he was trying to say, but in math terms. Okay. Everyone did a great job recalling prior information we learned last week and applying it to these questions. Our objective today is on the board, and it's going to say, today we will, all students say this with me, today we will understand and apply the exponent rules of variables and numerical equations. So this will help us apply those exponent rules that we know, and we're going to apply it to both variables and numerical equations. So it's going to be a little different than what we learned yesterday. The product rule is when, next I will go into our notes packet and go over the chart I made for y'all to remember the new vocab terms easier. So I'm going to have on my note sheet, they're going to be fill in the blank notes so that it saves time, it's easier, and everyone understands it and can refer back to it. Okay. So for exponent rules, our first rule will be the product rule. And this is when 2 variables are being multiplied. So when 2 variables are being multiplied, we are going to add the exponents. So this is easy to remember because we multiply and we add. Both of these make an x, but in different ways. So multiplication looks like an x, and we turn it over and it's adding. So we know that we're using the product rule whenever we see both of these. And in your fill in the blank notes, you should be writing what is underlined on the board. Next is the quotient rule. The quotient rule, can everyone say quotient with me? That's a hard word. Quotient. Awesome. Quotient rule is when 2 variables are being divided, we subtract the exponents. So we can think of divided. We know divided is a line with 2 dots. Divided has a line just like subtraction. So whenever an equation is being divided, we subtract the exponents. Finally, our favorite rule is the zero rule, and this is the most simple rule of them all, and most of you know it from yesterday or previously, but the zero rule is just like it sounds. When a number or variable is being raised to the 0 power, it equals 1. 0 power, it equals 1. So we have the product rule, we have the quotient rule, and we have the zero rule. So we have some hand signals to remember those, so I hope that those will help y'all recognize what each rule is being used and how to identify those. All right. now I want y'all to complete the discussion video that I have on here. We're going to go into a time of turn and talk. So I have 2 questions that I'm going to have asked. It is, what do you believe the definition of the product rule of exponents is? And you're going to create a flip grid of your explanation with your group. So for guided practice during the notes, that's going to take around like 25 minutes, and this discussion is going to be included in it. I think that guided practice should be the longest part of math class because it's a lot of information to cram in. So having 25 minutes of allotted time gives me enough time to do notes, teach, answer questions, and complete a discussion activity or a different activity that will help students remember and get to talk to peers and gain new information. I made this PowerPoint simpler by listing out step-by-step instructions. So I listed the instructions right here, but this is step-by-step down here. So it says take 5 to 7 minutes to discuss the question, then make sure you're using math language, and I'll be circulating the room to ensure that kids are. And number 3, they're going to film a 30-second flip grid video because they're just stating a sentence. So I think that will be pretty simple for students to do, but I will be there to answer questions. Okay. Everyone, eyes up. Thank you all so much for doing a wonderful job. I can't wait to watch those videos tomorrow. Our next activity will be having homework. This assignment will be completed through Alex on your computer. If you have trouble with like Wi-Fi at home, please let me know because there is going to be plenty of time to finish it during class, but I do know that some of us like to take our time on these things or just save some for after school. So first, I want everybody to open up Alex on your computer. Once everyone's there, I'll give you a minute. Okay, now click on Module 2 of Exponents. And this will cover all the properties of exponents that we covered today. You can use your notes. There will be questions about definitions and stuff like that. So please start on your 10-question activity. If you finish early, you can start on your exit ticket. So for independent practice, I'm going to give students from 15 to 20 minutes. It's 10 questions, and they're over what we learned today. I feel like it should be pretty simple, but if students have questions, I want to give them like the extra 5 minutes, which adds to 20, just to make it easier for every student. After that 20 minutes is up, I'll say, okay, class, pencils down, awesome work, and now you're going to have to answer 2 more questions over exponent rules. I passed out a note card with these questions, so this is your exit ticket for today. Please make sure you turn it into the Turnitin box in the front. Your first question says, what is the definition of the zero rule in your own words? So I don't want you to write down exactly what you see on the paper. I want you to write maybe some examples or something that you remembered or something that you drew from today. Your second is, what rule of exponents involves adding the exponents? So let's remember, what rule involves adding the exponents? I gave y'all a little hint. And please read and answer these 2 questions. Turn them in the turn-in box on your way out. And thank you for all being amazing future mathematicians. So the independent practice took about 20 minutes. My closure will take about 5, just because I'm going to read the questions, because I want to ensure that every student is understanding what is being asked of them. So for my PowerPoint, I kind of made it more simple, doing step by step. I started with the materials they needed, the do now. I wrote my objective to help students know what is being asked of them. Then I shortened the version of the notes that I'd actually have, but we did 3 definitions with what the formula is. And then after that, guided practice, this is also included as discussion time, which is sort of a guided practice. Turn and talk and flip grid. So I bought technology in, which will help students maybe entice their learning a little bit. Then finally, they have the independent practice, which is on their computer. So that's why I don't have the answers or the questions on the slide. And after the independent practice is done, they can complete their closure, which is just an exit ticket, just to refresh kind of a short summary of what they learned. I think this will be beneficial for ELL students and kids who need sheltered instruction, because it's kind of hard with math with all the different definitions and using the hand signals. That made it a little bit easier for students to remember, and I use fill in the blank notes to make time go by a little bit faster so that students don't have to write down every single word. And yeah, that's my lesson.